This is a review of the video uploaded by Yaqeen Institute. The video is titled Resistance in Exile from Hijra to Nakba, a khutbah by Dr. Omar Suleiman. The original video will be in the description.
They loved for their brother what they loved for themselves. In fact, they even loved for their brother more than what they loved for themselves. Think like the Ansar when they saw the Muhajirin. You drove us out of our homes. You drove us out of our homes.
The main topic or subject of this lecture is the comparison of the Ansar many centuries ago, the way they felt towards not only the Meccan people but the city of Mecca itself, the attachment that they had, and then comparing that to, subhanAllah, I guess, the Muslims around the world today, and how we should be approaching not only the Palestinian people but the city of Palestine itself. And subhanAllah, making that comparison, but we'll get into that a bit later in the video. The lecture is fairly short. I believe it is a Jumu'ah khutbah, so understandably. Although as short as it was, I would even say that it could have been shorter. I just say that from a perspective of, like, I could have cut up this video in a way where I could have presented this video to you in a much shorter manner, and then you would have watched the cut up version that I presented to you and this version, and you would have got the same message out of it. But I mean, look, of course, like I said, because it was a Jumu'ah khutbah, I believe, he had to fit, within the time period or whatever the case may be, so understandably. But I think Dr. Omar does manage to get the message across, which I think is good, and also it's not overwhelming in terms of like certain lectures being, too many hadith and too many Quran verses, and you just kind of feel like you can't remember all of it. So because I guess it's short, it's simple, it gets the message across, so alhamdulillah. Here are some of the main points or lessons that I personally took away from the lecture.
Because no one of you believes until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. And these Ansar that took in these Muhajirin, and the greatest Muhajir, the greatest migrant being the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, they loved for their brother what they loved for themselves. In fact, they even loved for their brother more than what they loved for themselves.
Dr. Omar Suleiman mentions a hadith saying, Anas ibn Malik reported, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, none of you will have faith until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. Now, I think there is a lot of underlying efforts that need to be made for us to actually achieve this, because I don't think, in terms of like a practical step moving forward, it's not as easy as just saying, yeah, we need to start loving for our brothers what we love for ourselves. That's not easy. Some random stranger that you don't know, how could you possibly want the best for him? You don't even know him, right? So I think, subhanAllah, I think a good starting point would be to ask the question of, how do I genuinely attain this level of wanting for my brother what I want for myself. I think it is a process, subhanAllah, understanding Allah, understanding his attributes, and then going on to learning about the Prophet, and I guess just understanding the concept of love from an Islamic perspective, or specifically love in the context to like loving for the sake of Allah.
Think like the Ansar when they saw the Muhajirin. You drove us out of our homes. You drove us out of our homes. Take it personally. You drove us out of our homes. Even if I never lived a day in Palestine, you drove us all out of our homes.
Another point being is that we should think in a way that the Ansar thought. And I think this is super powerful, because when we look at the Palestine situation today, oftentimes we're speaking about it from a perspective of like, they're killing the Palestinian people, they're destroying Palestinian homes, and they drove the Palestinians out of their homeland. And subhanAllah, it's fair what you're saying, but when you say Palestinians and you use that term, you almost create a subconscious disconnect, because you're not Palestinian, you don't have Palestinian family, majority of us don't. And so subhanAllah, there's this, I never ever thought about it from this perspective before, but Dr. Omar is almost saying, how about take a mindset shift? Instead of saying Palestinians, take it from a perspective of all of us being Muslim, And if you look at it from that perspective and you sort of identify and make it more personal, then you get to take a almost the whole narrative change, and you start to say now from perspective of they are killing our people. They drove us out of our homeland. They destroying our homes, right? And I think once you attach that sort of, identity to Palestine, subhanAllah, like I say, it just you're playing a different game now, because it's not about helping those people. It's about helping my people. The message being basically we should intend on making more and more efforts, always on a regular basis, consistently doing what we can to liberate Palestine, helping our brothers and our sisters who are struggling, those who have subhanAllah, been able to maybe come out of Palestine, but they still have family and friends over there. Subhanallah, we should continue to make an effort. Inshallah, Allah guide and protect us all. That's all.